Today is Thursday, Parashat Noach. The Haftarah we're going to be reading this coming Shabbat is Roni Akara Lo Yalada. It includes in it a pasuk that refers to the Mabul, the great flood, as Mei Noach, the waters of Noach. How could it be that the great flood that came to punish such a generation that had depraved morality, that it would be called the waters of Noach? Noach was a Ish Tzaddik. He was, the Pasuk says, Ish Tzaddik, Tamim, Haya Bedorotav. He was a righteous person in his generation. And some sages say that's to his great praise, even though he lived in a generation of moral depravity, even though he was surrounded by people who were wicked, he still was able to have the strength of character to continue to be a righteous person. That is actually a statement of great praise for him, even though that is in his generations, he was surrounded by such people. Some sages say it's only relative to his generation that he was a righteous person. Had he lived in the same generation as Avraham Avinu, he wouldn't have been such a noticeably a righteous person. But still, why would the Navi, the prophet, call him, or call the great flood, Mei Noach, the waters of Noach, as if he was responsible for the great flood? He was a great contrast to the people of his generation. He was a righteous person. The Zohar Kadosh explains, because he didn't rebuke the people of his generation, because he didn't ask Hashem to forgive them and to be merciful. Very different from Avraham Avinu, when Hashem told him he was going to punish the people of Sodom and Amorah. Avraham Avinu goes into this whole quote-unquote argument with Hashem. How could you do that? Maybe there are 50 people that are righteous, maybe there are so many. He pleaded on behalf of the people. Also, Avraham Avinu was recognized as the person who brought people closer to Hashem, as a person who cared about the people around him, who did chesed to get them to have faith in Hashem and to change their ways. When Noach was told about the great flood, the Zohar Kadosh says that he did not go after the people to try to correct their ways. If somebody would ask him, what are you doing building this huge teva, this floating structure? And he said, well, there is a flood that's going to happen. But out of his humility, he just didn't go after caring for others to bring them into the right path. And it's a known concept. Our sages tell us that if you're able to have influence on others, to correct them, to get them to do the right thing, and you let them stay in their misbehavior, you could be held responsible for their wrong actions, because you could have stopped them. You could have had influence on them. You didn't do it, then you could be held responsible for not acting to get them to act properly. That's an incredible concept to have here, to the extent that the Mabul is called Mei Noach, the waters of Noach, because he was not proactive enough to see what he could do to get the people of his generations to become better people. And that's an incredible concept for each and every one of us, no matter where we are. We have to take some social responsibility for what surrounds us. Not just I, me, what's good for me, and I don't care about others. Let them be what they do. Let them do what they want to do. It's not of my business. But we do have responsibility, whether the people that are close to us, members of our family, of our community, of our society, and if he was a person who was such a great luminary, a leader of a nation, or a person who has influence on even on people from the whole world, then he should use his influence to get people to do good. That's the concept that Avraham Avinu really highlighted, the idea of chesed, whether it is to do good for other people by getting them to have faith in Hashem, whether it is to ask Hashem to forgive them or to be merciful, whether it is to do acts of kindness, even the simple thing, giving tzedakah or seeing a person in need and helping him. That is the type of thing that the Navi calling the great flood Mei Noach is insinuating that if you don't act to benefit those around you and the society that you live in, and if you don't use your influence to get them to be better, then you could be held responsible either for their action or in certain cases for omission of action on your part to help others who are in need or need guidance to go in the right way. And this is one of the lessons that we learn from the Haftarah and the parasha of this week. Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen ve'amen.